And hello there again, RosterWatch, your friendly neighborhood trash man. And today I'm going to be talking about offenses that you need to buy into in fantasy going into drafts this season. So let's go ahead and get started. And actually, none of them are the Cowboys, so there's no bias there, or is there? Anyways, let's start off with the Kansas City Chiefs. This one seems like a no-brainer, as anything attached to Patrick Mahomes' arm seems to turn into gold. What makes it more intriguing this year is that the Chiefs have high upside options at receiver who are largely unproven, and Mecole Hardman and Byron Pringle. We've seen flashes from Hardman in the past, but with Sammy Watkins now in Baltimore, Hardman has a chance to flourish on a consistent basis as potentially the number 2 receiver in Kansas City. Pringle, on the other hand, hasn't done much in his 2 years in the league, but he was arguably Mahomes' favorite target in minicamp, and I've adored his skill set since he was a prospect out of Kansas State a few years ago. If Hardman continues to struggle with man coverage, we could see the emergence of Pringle as a fantasy asset. Both players have strong chances to outperform their current ADPs. After the Chiefs, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Your Steelers have an embarrassment of riches on offense this season, especially at receiver. When Juju Smith-Schuster is your worst option, you're in a pretty good spot. Just pick one of them. Whether it's Juju, Deontay Johnson, or Chase Claypool, you can almost be sure of that at least 800 yards and 7 touchdowns. Each of them had at least that last season. It doesn't stop there, though. Tight end Eric Ebron had his second best year as a pro in Pittsburgh in 2020, and rookie Najee Harris has the makings of a top 10 fantasy back. At worst, really. Miss on any of these guys, you can still go for Big Ben as your quarterback. Having a Steeler at any starting position in fantasy is a great idea, and no one seems to be talking about any of these guys except for maybe Harris. After the Steelers, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert might give Patrick Mahomes a run for his money as the best quarterback in the AFC West in only his second season as a pro, and anyone playing beside him is going to benefit by his being under center. Mike Williams, Jared Cook, and potentially rookie Josh Palmer are all undervalued players who could put up career years for fantasy and otherwise if things pick up where they left off in 2020. Only 2 teams attempted more passes per game in 2020, the Steelers and the Cowboys. After the Chargers, we have the Los Angeles Rams, another LA team. The Rams were an offensive juggernaut when Jared Goff was a quarterback, so just imagine how much more potent they can be with Matt Stafford under center. Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are known commodities and will be hard to get a hold of, but Deshaun Jackson's ECR is behind the likes of Josh Reynolds and Sammy Watkins right now. Jackson has had injury-riddled seasons the last few years, it is true, but his last 2,000-plus yard seasons came under offensive coordinator Sean McVay. As a Redskin, McVay, as we now know, is the head coach of the Rams. Running back Darrell Henderson will also prove to be of immeasurable value if the Rams don't add another back after losing Cam Akers to an Achilles tear. These aren't sexy picks, but they'll pay off in spades. And then last but not least, we have the Atlanta Falcons. I like getting a piece of the Falcons for a couple reasons. One, Julio Jones left the target vacuum when he left for the Titans. Not counting last season's 9 appearances, Jones averaged about 160 targets a season over the previous 3. In that vacuum, aside from Calvin Ridley, we have either unproven or low-profile players, and someone has to absorb those targets. Rookie tight end Kyle Pitts is high on the list as he's an athletic specimen, and Matt Ryan loves his tight ends. But even if you can't get Pitts, wide receivers Russell Gage and Olamide Zaccheaus could be had for peanuts right now. And fellow tight end Hayden Hurst may also prove a worthwhile investment, as offensive coordinator Arthur Smith ran a ton of 2 tight end sets in Tennessee during his time there as offensive coordinator. At running back, we have old faithful Mike Davis, who will assuredly outperform his 24th ranked status if they don't add it back to the mix. I'll tack on Cordero Patterson at the end of your draft if you like. They had plans for him too. The Falcons were 4th in pass attempts last season, so expect a lot of players to get involved in 2021. And that's it. These are 5 of the teams I think you should buy into as we go into drafts this season, as I think having really any player from their starting lineups will pay off for you in fantasy. Again, this has been the Trash Man on behalf of RosterWatch.com. Until next time, be ready.